This is going to sound dumb as hell, and that's because it was. I was drunk, overconfident, and on a bachelor trip that already had way too much booze and way too little sense. This happened a few years ago in Myrtle Beach. My sister's husband was getting married, and we had a big group, about 16 of us, all crammed into this rented beach house right on the marsh. It was the kind of place where you wake up sticky from the humidity and start drinking by noon. Classic South Carolina heat, beer flowing, pool full of people that I half knew, and music was always playing. By the second to last night, the party was fully tilt. Everyone was drunk, like slurring, sweating, and stumbling drunk, myself included. At around 10 p.m., for some god-awful reason, I got it in my head that I wanted to go surfing, or more accurately, float on a board. The waves were nothing, just that gentle roll that comes with calm weather, but in my drunken state, it sounded like a spiritual experience. Nobody stopped me. Nobody really cared that I wanted to do this. I mentioned it to a few of the guys, got a couple of lazy nods, and that was it. The walk to the beach was about 2 blocks from our place. I brought a longboard one of the guys had brought with them, and my phone, which was already a terrible idea. I don't know why I brought the phone. Maybe I thought I'd get a good Snapchat out of it. I was drunk, like I said. I remember the beach being surprisingly active for how late it was. Families and couples were scattered along the sand with flashlights, looking for sand crabs and shells. It actually made me feel safer for a second, like I wasn't completely alone in doing something this stupid. I walked straight into the water, paddled out maybe 50 yards, just far enough where my feet couldn't touch the bottom. It was dark, but the moon was out, and there was just enough light to see the water shimmer. I laid on the board for a bit, just drifting around. I had this weird moment where I thought, this is perfect. That warm breeze, the distant sound of people laughing on the beach, the cool water beneath me. It was peaceful in a way that felt unreal. And then I took out my phone. I turned on the flash and started filming dumb stuff, sending Snapchats back to the guys at the house, the kind of stuff you watch the next day and cringe at. At some point, for whatever reason, I turned the camera down into the water, like I wanted to film my feet dangling there. And that's when I saw it. Right beneath me. Not fast, not aggressive, just cruising. A shark. Easily 15 feet long. I'm not a marine biologist or anything, but this thing was massive. Long gray body, thick tail, wide head. I could see its shape so clearly in the light from my phone. I froze. My whole body just locked up. Its dorsal fin bumped the bottom of my board. Not hard, but enough to feel it. Like a nudge. It didn't speed up, didn't turn, didn't thrash. It just swam. Right under me like I wasn't even there. And I knew, I knew, that if it wanted to, it could have ended me right there. I would have been gone. I had no protection, no one around me close enough to help, no way to even yell loudly enough to get someone's attention over the surf. I looked back toward the beach and saw people still walking along the shore, lights bobbing up and down, totally oblivious. So I did the only thing I could do. I started slowly paddling toward the shore, not making big splashes, no sudden movements, just slow, deliberate strokes. I kept the flashlight off, just moved in silence. I was watching behind me constantly, and for a while I could see the tail slicing through the water, maybe 10 feet behind me. Then it veered off, and I lost sight of it. I thought I was going to puke. I kept paddling until my hands hit sand. I did not even stand up right away. I just stayed there on the board, half in the water, heart pounding so hard I could literally hear it in my ears. There were still a few people on the beach, and I remember yelling at them not to go in the water. I probably sounded insane. A drunk guy stumbling out of the ocean, shouting about a shark. But I didn't care because it was true. I walked back to the house and tried to tell everyone what had happened. Not a single one of them believed me. I mean, we were all drunk, I get it. I was the drunkest. They thought I made it up. Hell, if I hadn't had my phone light on, maybe I wouldn't have seen it either. I've never gone to the ocean at night again. Not even once. Not even knee-deep. That moment, seeing something that big, that silent, and that close, has resonated with me. It made me realize just how out of control you are in the water, how fast everything can change. That thing could have taken me out in 2 seconds. It didn't, but I'll never forget the feeling that I was just inches away from something that could have killed me, and it never even blinked. Last summer, my friend Allie and I booked an Airbnb in Delaware near the beach. We do this thing every year, pick a different beach town and spend a few days there just unwinding. It's something we both look forward to all year. That particular trip started off like any other one would. A long drive, music, iced coffees, of course, a few bathroom stops, the usual, you know. We pulled into the Airbnb around 2 p.m., dropped off our bags, and immediately changed into bathing suits. All we wanted to do was hit the sand. The beach wasn't packed, which we liked. It was mostly families and a few groups of teenagers. The weather was perfect. Hot, but with that ocean breeze that makes it bearable. We laid our towels down not too far from the water, but not too close either because of the tide. I remember how peaceful it felt. The waves were rolling in, kids laughing in the distance, that low hum of people talking. I put my towel over my face to block the sun and started dozing off. I must have been out for 20 minutes or so when I felt a tap on my stomach. It jolted me awake. I pulled the towel down, expecting to see Allie or maybe a beach patrol guy, but instead, there was this man crouched down right next to me. Like, right next to me, inches away. He did not say anything at first, just stared at me with this weird, half smile on his face. The shock made Allie sit up fast. She asked, "Are you okay?" And I said yeah, but kept my eyes on the guy. He looked older, maybe mid-50s, but honestly, he could have been younger. His skin was leathery and overly tanned, which probably made him look older than he was. He had no shirt on, just a faded light green bathing suit. His chest was super hairy, and he was completely bald. Something about him just felt off immediately, if that makes sense. I asked him, "Can I help you?" And that's when he spoke. He pointed out toward the water and said, "You see that ocean out there?" We both looked out at the water and nodded, unsure where this was going. Then he said, "It's beautiful, isn't it? Just like you two. You know, beautiful girls like yourselves go missing in the water all the time. Just thought you should know that." I didn't even know what to say to that. Allie just stared at him, wide-eyed. I remember feeling frozen, like I couldn't process what he just said quickly enough to react. He stood up slowly, brushed the sand off his knees, and just walked away. No glance back, nothing. I sat up and looked around. I was convinced we were being pranked, that someone had to be filming this. But there was nobody nearby who looked like they were with him, and nobody laughing or pointing or holding a phone. Just families with kids playing or reading. No one else seemed to notice what had just happened either. Allie and I did not say much at first. I think we were both trying to rationalize it. Like, maybe he was just some weird local who meant no harm. But the way he said it, calm, deliberate, almost like a warning, just didn't sit right. We ended up leaving the beach not long after that. The rest of the trip was fine. We never saw him again. No one followed us. Nothing else weird happened. But here's where it got more unsettling. A few days after we got home, I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. So I did what most people would do. I started Googling. I searched things like girls missing in the Delaware Beach area and ocean disappearances in Delaware. I didn't expect to find much, but I did. There were these two articles that stuck with me. One was about a girl who went missing in the summer before while swimming alone early in the morning. Her body was never found. The other was about a different woman who vanished after going for a walk along the beach at night. No signs of a struggle, no belongings left behind. She was just gone. Both cases were still unsolved, and both happened within a 20-minute drive from where we had stayed. Now, I know that doesn't prove anything. People go missing for all kinds of reasons, I get that. Accidents happen. But that guy's words felt too pointed. Like he had said them before. Like he knew something, if that makes sense. I keep thinking about how close he was to us when we were asleep. If I hadn't woken up when I did, what then? I know I'm probably just letting my imagination run wild, but it eats at me, seriously. And I get it. There was no laws broken, nothing reportable to the police. Just a man saying something eerie and then walking away. But in my gut, I still feel like we dodged something bigger. Whether it was just a creep trying to scare us or something worse, I don't know. But it shook both of us up. I still go to the beach, but I'm never that relaxed anymore. I stay alert now, because sometimes it's not about what happened, it's about what could have happened. And I still hear his voice in my head sometimes. Beautiful girls like yourselves go missing in the water all the time. Like it wasn't a warning, but a prediction. Hey Spooky, I figured I'd share something that happened to me and a friend a few years back. I've told the story a few times in person, but never really wrote about it. It's one of those things that I still think about whenever I go swimming now, even in lakes. So, to clarify, I do not live anywhere near the ocean. I'm from the Midwest, so anytime I get the chance to go to the beach, I take it. A few summers ago, I went down to Miami to visit a friend who moved there for work. One of the first things I said when I got there was that I needed to get into the ocean. So we went to South Beach on a weekday afternoon. It was warm, but not too packed, which was nice. We swam out kind of far, but we did not realize how far until later. We weren't paying attention, really. Just treading water and talking about life, work, random stuff, you know? It was probably 30 or 40 minutes of just floating and chatting. Neither of us really noticed the current slowly pulling us out. Eventually, I started to feel it in my legs. Just general fatigue from staying afloat for that long. I also noticed that the color of the water had changed. It went from clear greenish blue to a darker, murkier color. I couldn't see the bottom anymore. That's when I looked down and saw something. It was this large, dark shape below us. It wasn't sitting still. It was moving in a weird, looping pattern. Figure eights, slow and steady. It wasn't darting or swimming off, just pacing us. I looked over at my friend and said, half-jokingly, "That's not a turtle, is it?" He didn't laugh. He just said, "It's not. We should head back." And that was all it took. We turned around and started swimming toward the shore. We didn't panic, didn't yell or splash, but we definitely picked up the pace. I remembered reading somewhere that splashing too much can attract attention, so I kept my arms low in the water and tried to swim smooth. But my legs were not cooperating. I'd already been treading water too long, and the cramps started to kick in hard, especially in my calves. I had to switch to swimming on my back to keep going. The whole time, I kept turning my head to look under the surface. That shape was still there. It had followed us. It wasn't aggressively charging or anything. It was just pacing behind us and below us, keeping a distance, but definitely not leaving us alone. At one point, when I kicked my leg out, I made contact with something solid. It wasn't seaweed or a wave, I can tell you that. It was thick, rough, and it moved. I did not even look. I just froze for a second and said to my friend, "I just kicked it." He did not respond. He just kept swimming. So did I. I don't remember how long it took us to get back where I could touch the sand with my feet again, but it felt like forever. I did not really believe we were safe until we were back on dry sand, sitting on our towels, completely winded and trying not to throw up. We did not say much for the next 10 minutes, just caught our breath and kept looking at the water like it had personally wronged us. Later that night, I looked up what kind of sharks are common around Miami, and bull sharks kept popping up. They're aggressive, swim in shallow waters, and are known to tail swimmers out of curiosity. Now, I'm not an expert, but that thing was thick and moved like a predator and had zero fear of us. I'm pretty sure I kicked a bull shark in the head that day. And to be honest, I don't really swim far out anymore. Not because I'm scared, exactly, but I respect the ocean a lot more now. It's easy to forget how quickly things can go from peaceful to sketchy out there. We were lucky. That's really the only word for it. Anyway, Spooky, thanks for letting me share this experience with you. It still gives me the chills when I think about it.